Hey everybody, this is Perch. One of the fun things about talking a comic shop, at least used to be, I went into a comic shop a couple days ago, and they were doing the classic "Who would win?" Who would win between this person. And those are always really fun conversations to have in a store, and the more outlandish, the better. Unfortunately, this comic shop, it was a hearty debate of who would win, Biden or Trump in 2024, which was I don't know. It couldn't have been any more repelling. Like I go into the store and they're having a healthy debate, not an angry like a Twitter type debate, but just a healthy, in depth conversation. And it's like I felt a deep desire to leave almost immediately. And I think that's a lesson maybe for everybody. I don't know. I don't know how many people have the same reaction. It was I just didn't want any part of it, and so I got out of there as quick as I could. Unfortunately, it anyway. But the classic "Who would win" with comic characters are a lot of fun. So here's a mail from a viewer who says, "Hello, Perch. Back in the day, there was the Amalgam universe, which we will never get again." I'm not entirely sure about that, but I'll give you the reasons why in a moment. There was a build-up event of DC versus Marvel, and I have a question for you. Given the current state of characters in both the DC and Marvel universes, and this does include all the over-the-top villains like the Batman Who Laughs and the King in Black, Null, if these two universes were ever to go head-to-head again, and all the heroes and the villains of these universes, who do you think would win? I know people like to think who would win between Batman or Iron Man or Thanos and Darkseid. But I know these kinds of they were kind of hinted about in the old event, but times have changed and status quos have changed. I am curious to hear your thoughts on which universe has the most potential to win. Okay, that's interesting. Oh, sorry, it keeps going. On the DC side, I am unsure what thing I can think of, what item is on par with the Infinity Stones, and the only thing I can think of is Miracle Machine. You are more knowledgeable in comics, so I'd love to hear your thoughts. Keep up the good work, drive safely. Thank you. So, okay, of the two universes, my take is that Marvel has done more overpowered stuff to their universe, particularly since the Amalgam universe. By the way, I should get back to that. It is very unlikely that you will see Marvel and DC crossover again. However, in a world where Marvel and DC both are more corporately owned by Disney and Discovery, respectively, then suddenly those companies are going to view it more in terms of licensing. And while it's still unlikely because the IP sort out would be a bit of a mess and you couldn't make any of it into a movie and all the rest, if we assume that over the next 5 to 10 years, the movie business for superheroes wanes a little bit, not falls apart, just it's no longer a guaranteed $1 billion film. Stuff's settling in at kind of $500 million. They're still very profitable. They're still going to get made, but it's not the same kind of burning momentum. And Disney and Discovery decide to take the comics and do more licensing with them. Then I think it opens up the door for somebody to come around and do a joint license and put these two universes together again. And I think in that scenario, the thing is, if you're Marvel and you're going to publish or co-publish something with DC, you have a lot of problems around ownership because you're directly involved, both companies. However, if it's like IDW licenses the characters from Marvel, licenses the characters from DC for a period of time, and the license allows them to cross over, which is a big if, a lot of the legal issues go away because it's not considered an official Marvel or DC product. It's not being published by one company or the other. And I think that there becomes a window there. And I bet in the next 10 years to 15 years, we get another Marvel DC event. I think somebody will want to mash it up. I think people will think of it as easy money. Now, the funny thing is, I don't think it will make as much money or be as popular as people think. But, if they do it right, it could be fun. So anyway, back to the kind of original question. I think the Marvel Universe has done a lot more to overpower itself. The Marvel Universe has done more in terms of time travel, in terms of the multiverse, yes, the Infinity Stones, but you have multiple characters now who, can go to infinite multiverse worlds and collect infinite Infinity Stones or what have you. You've got they've leaned in harder to gods. Yes, there's dark side and other things, but Marvel has like an entire pantheon of cosmic beings and other things. DC does have them too, but Marvel has just more. There's a absolute abundance of them, and if you really get to wanting to play with the concept, in depth, you get a couple godlike characters from Mephisto, or devil demon type characters like Mephisto. But I mean, look at what they've done with Mephisto in the Avengers. There's like infinite Mephistos running around. You've got the infinite Doom for the multiverse masters of evil. They're they could go around and collect multiple Infinity Stones. They can redo the incursion events, smash universes together. I mean, there's more. DC has those abilities, but DC, and this is absolutely insane that I'm saying this because it wasn't the case 20 years ago. DC has been far more restrained with that kind of stuff. Yes, you certainly have the multiverse, but they've intentionally kind of limited it. And as we've seen in DC's multiverse, you get like alternate Justice League, or you get different version of the Flash, or Captain Carrot's running around in one of them. In the Marvel universe, it's like, hey, here's an Omega version of Doom that has a bunch of Infinity Stones and a cosmic cube and has harnessed the power of eternity. And that's just one of infinite dooms that he has under his control. Like, you just get to this almost silly place where if you're going to truly go power to power, I think Marvel has done more to overpower their universe. Now, if you don't want to cheat with the multiverse stuff, because again, DC has a multiverse, it's just they've made more efforts to cap it to some extent, or at least put some limitations on it. It's not just a clone of every other universe that could be mashed up and combined for destruction. But if you take the multiverse aspect out of it, then I think you still, Marvel has created more MacGuffin type things between, again, cosmic cubes, stuff Kang has collected over time. There's more. And DC does have you have the Miracle Machine. You have certain relics from New Genesis, or you have a John Stewart getting powered up to be a godlike character. But unfortunately, I mean, look, the part where Marvel Universe maybe is flawed, if you're, and this again is maybe a bit of a cheat, is you have created these overpowered characters like a Thanos and other things, and then you've had Squirrel Girl basically punch him out with one punch and defeat him. You've had pretty silly, wacky characters, at Marvel get go overcome huge, massive cosmic threats. And for what it's worth, you don't have comics where like Harley Quinn is going to Apocalypse and just randomly just sucker punching Darkseid and getting away with it. You don't have that level of silliness. They flirt with it, but in Marvel it's certainly more pervasive. And so in that world, if you're saying, okay, well, even Null, the King in Black. So the King in Black was shaped up to be the ultimate villain that is, the just massively powerful, consuming entire planets, traveling through space, infinitely powerful. And King in Black was what, five issues? And he was defeated in the course of 5 issues pretty directly by Eddie Brock, Venom, who again harnessed some of the symbiote's powers and everything else, but still, you had the Captain Universe, which is another massively overpowered entity inside of Marvel. But all the same, I think when you have these giant epic level threats and then you defeat them relatively quickly, and Null was defeated pretty easily. Like that's part of the problem of modern Marvel, is you have these big threats that they build up in kind of the hype and lead up to the event, and then you have them taken out in a couple issues. I mean, even more epic things like what they did with War of the Realms or Empire, where you had like the Earth being invaded and big portions of it being taken over. You still, within like 3 or 4 issues, you wrapped it up, and it's like, no problem. Like, it feels like those big threats should have far more lasting consequences. Like in Null, for all the buildup that Cates did in Venom, he's got no, like, if they said, "Oh, Null may be coming back to life," would anybody care? Like, would it matter? Oh, he's going to get defeated again. Who by this time? You know, the Wasp, the younger one. I don't know. So I think that, but I think that overall, Marvel has the more powerful characters. Marvel has the more powerful, like overpowered characters, I should say. Again, DC has stuff that's super powerful if they used it. I mean, Flash can go through time, break into other dimensions, other multiverse places. You've got plenty of powerful characters in DC. It's just they don't kind of run amok and run around like they do in Marvel. It's far more restrained. And Marvel just has just dozens and dozens and dozens of cosmic beings that can inhabit your body and give you, god powers, or or stones or gems, or all this kind of stuff. What's always curious to me, I mentioned Kang a few times, and Marvel seems to be wanting to do more with Kang, or maybe, you got the feeling like somebody at Marvel was shown hey, Kang's going to show up in Loki and be a villain there, and potentially have some kind of bearing, and then kind of they did that limited series like, oh, we're going to do big things with Kang this year, and then it's like, now we're distracted. I don't know. What happened to that build? Anyway, Kang, I keep mentioning because they want to say Kang is this epic conqueror threat, but he also has to be a complete moron because he has full access to time and space, and yet he can't go and like get himself a cosmic cube and some of these other elements to use. I mean, feels like that option is just right there. It feels like it'd be super easy to do that. At various times in Marvel's past, you had the Illuminati hiding stones in places that Kang could pretty easily break into, but he didn't. So anyway, so maybe DC wins because the Marvel characters are just too dumb to, to do anything with it. I don't know. Anyway, that's my answer. Hope that was satisfactory. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like and subscribe, of course. And thanks for listening.